Hey guys, since we have been speaking so much about volcanic eruptions and what impact potential large eruptions like the caldera in Italy, the Campi Flegrei volcano, might have on the climate, on our food production, on our food safety, because if Campi Flegrei erupts in a big eruption, this could create a little ice age. That's what it has done in the past, because the particles that this massive eruption would put into the atmosphere would block the sunlight. The ashes would cover fields and agricultural areas, and there would only be food left for 74 days if that was a large eruption. And so that's why many have asked me, well, will big volcanic events cool down the climate? And the answer is yes, if it's really, really big. And now scientists have looked at these volcanoes, just as you guys have in my comments, and they thought, could they do this artificially? And while I was looking for answers for you, since you have asked me these questions, guys, I dug a little deeper into this topic, and I have a friend that keeps telling me that in her area she sees like chemtrails and she doesn't see the sun anymore because she's in a wildfire prone area, and she says that whenever there's an airplane that they're injecting something in the atmosphere. And I always thought that this is BS and like a conspiracy theory and stuff like this, but since I looked into it more closely, because of that volcanic issue that we have been discussing for months now, I found something very interesting. And so what the scientists are saying, or some studies are saying, that cloud engineering could be more effective in reducing global warming than previously thought. This is not supposed to be a discussion whether there is global warming or not, or what causes it. I really just want to look at what they're doing. And I am of the opinion, and I have always been, everything comes with a price. And I think what they're doing here will come with a price as well. What price, they don't know yet. But, I think it's important to be aware that stuff like this is being researched and already tested. So let's get into this. So they're saying, and this comes primarily from the University of Birmingham, but there's some other universities and entities involved. We get to that. They're saying that cloud engineering could be more effective for climate cooling than previously thought because of the increased cloud cover that this produces. They have done a new research. So let's look into this. So they have published a study in Nature Geoscience, and researchers at the University of Birmingham found that it's called marine cloud brightening, shortcut MCB. We'll get a little bit deeper into this shortly. So it's also called marine cloud engineering, works primarily by increasing the amount of cloud cover, accounting for 60 to 90% of the cooling effect. Previous models that they used to estimate the cooling effect of this marine cloud MCB have focused on the ability of these aerosol injection to produce a brightening effect on the cloud, and they're using seawater for this, and they're saying that the salt in the seawater has that effect on clouds, and they're saying that when they do that, it increases the amount of sunlight that is reflected back into space. So that's why this practice of the marine cloud MCB has attracted much attention in recent years as a potential way of offsetting the global warming effects. Why do I always say global warming? I don't know. This is kind of weird. I am weird today, guys. So, offsetting the global warming effects that are caused by humans, and they want to buy some time while the global economy decarbonizes. Yeah, I live in Canada. We just had an increase in the carbon tax, although Canada is not responsible for putting out carbon in the atmosphere, but they're taxing us to death here. I can tell you that. The price of gasoline and so many other goods, it's just insane, absolutely insane. I don't think this is a way to address the issue. That's just on a side note. What are they doing? They're spraying tiny particles, or called aerosols, into the atmosphere, where they mix these aerosols with the clouds. And the primary aim is to increase the amount of sunlight that these clouds can reflect back instead of reaching the earth. So they have done experiments with this technique already, and they have used it in Australia. To my Australian viewers, were you aware of that? They have used it in Australia as an attempt to reduce the bleaching on the Great Barrier Reef by the sunlight. But the problem is, the science does not understand yet what these aerosols are really doing. It's very poorly understood, the ways in which clouds will respond to these aerosols. And because of variable effects such as the confounding from co-varying meteorological conditions, right? That's why researchers have created a natural experiment in order to investigate that phenomenon. And they have used aerosol injection from the effusive eruption of the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii to study the interactions between these natural aerosols and clouds and the climate. So thankfully they used natural aerosols, but they're also using something else, and we'll get to this also in a minute. What they have built basically is a predicting system using machine learning and historic satellite and meteorological data to show that how the cloud would behave during periods when the volcano is inactive. So this predicting system has enabled them to clearly identify the impacts of the volcano being active or not active on the clouds. That impact that had been directly caused by these aerosols that have been spewed into the atmosphere by that volcanic eruption. So they were able to show that the cloud cover relatively increased by up to 50% during the periods of volcanic activity. Yeah, because if there's ashes in the air, right, it really blocks the sunlight, but that's not healthy, right? Just by the way. So we know that it's air pollution. It's some of the particles can enter your lungs and really cause significant damage. So they were able to prove that the cloud cover was increased by 50% and that they started to produce a cooling effect. They carried out this research in collaboration with the Met Office, the universities of Edinburgh, Reading and Leeds, ETH Zurich in Switzerland, and the University of Maryland, and NASA in the USA. And the lead author of that study, Dr. Ying Chen of the University of Birmingham, has said, quote, "Our findings show that marine cloud brightening could be more effective as a climate intervention than climate models have suggested previously. Of course, while it could be useful, the MCB does not address the underlying causes of global warming from greenhouse gases produced by human activity. It should therefore be regarded as a painkiller rather than a solution, and we must continue to improve fundamental understanding of aerosols' impacts on clouds, further research on global impacts and risks of MCB, and search for ways to decarbonize human activities is necessary. So this research comes alongside already increased interest in cloud engineering around the world. UK Research and Innovation has recently launched a £10.5 million research program looking at informing policymakers on solar radiation management approaches, including MCB, while the Advanced Research and Invention Agency is focused on researching technologies for climate and weather management. So now we're going as far as managing the weather. And in the US, a team from the University of Washington recently carried out its first outdoor aerosol experiment from a decommissioned aircraft carrier in Alameda, California. That's an area that's prone to wildfires. Did you know that? I didn't. I vaguely heard something about this, probably by postings from my friend, and I thought it's just like bogus, but it seems it is not. So, as I said, everything comes with a price, guys, and I find this a little bit scary because manipulating the weather in one area or manipulating the sunlight in one area can have a ripple effect in other areas of the world. Because overall, cloud engineering, that's the overall word that they're using, is often referred to in the context of like climate engineering or geoengineering. So if you hear these words, you know now what this means. And it involves, all these words involve interventions designed to modify the Earth's climate system. But imagine if they're trying to cool down the Earth and let's say they're successful, and then we have a Campifligri erupt that's already cooling it down. We could end up in a really frigging ice age and we could all freeze to death. I'm just joking right now, but as I said, everything comes with a price, and I think we should be very, very careful here. So one of the specific techniques within this field it's called cloud seeding, which aims to enhance cloud formation or precipitation. So another more theoretical aspect of cloud engineering involves the marine cloud brightening, which we already have talked about, MCB. That aims to reflect more sunlight back into space and therefore cool the planet. So I want to give you an overview of the substance used in these processes and the potential impacts, because I think that is very, very important. That was not mentioned in this science article that I just quoted mostly before. And I think this is something that really, really needs to be looked into. So let's look at cloud seeding. So cloud seeding overall, it involves dispersing substances into the air that serve as cloud condensation or ice particles to alter the microphysical processes within the cloud. And these substances that they're using in cloud seeding include various things. Number one is silver iodide. So that's the most common chemical that is used in cloud seeding. Silver iodide can cause ice nucleation because its structure is already similar to the structure of ice. So that's why it's used primarily to enhance precipitation in clouds that are cold enough to contain ice. So silver iodide, guys. The second substance that they're using is sodium chloride, so salt, or potassium chloride. So in warm clouds, they're using this. These salts can encourage water droplets to coalesce and grow until they fall down as raindrops, as precipitation. And number three, that is dry ice, like solid carbon dioxide, and it's sometimes used to stimulate the ice formation in clouds. So how does that sound to you? Let's look further into this. Marine cloud brightening, MCB. Marine cloud brightening is another method of cloud engineering that involves spraying seawater into the atmosphere to increase the cloud reflectivity. And what does this method use? And that's right now, for me, the most harmless method in terms of what are they using to inject into the cloud. It's seawater. So the fine particles of salt from the seawater act as particles for cloud droplet formation and potentially increasing the cloud cover and thereby reflecting more sunlight back into space. So that is MCB. So all over, this is called aerosols, particles in the air. And everything comes with a price. What are the potential harms of these aerosols? Are they harmful? So the use of these substances in the atmosphere raises concerns about not only their environmental impacts, but also health impacts on us and on the ecosystem. So what is the potential environmental impact? If there were a continuous and widespread use of chemicals like silver iodide, that could potentially lead to environmental contamination, of course, right? Everything that goes up comes down eventually. So they're saying that the concentrations used in typical cloud seeding operations are generally considered too low to cause significant environmental harm according to the current studies. But we know how this goes. There'll be other studies that probably will say the opposite. And we've had this with artificial fertilizers, weed killers, insect repellents, stuff like this. I mean, are we killing ourselves? Are we poisoning ourselves? That also would solve the problem, right? If there is a problem. Of course, the direct health impact on humans from materials that they're using in cloud seeding are generally, that's what they're saying, considered low risk because the substances are dispersed at high altitudes and are highly diluted. Yeah, but they will come down and they will go into the soil and into the groundwater. And we know what microplastic is already doing and where we are finding it, like everywhere in the world, from Antarctica to like the most remote places. And there are ongoing discussions about the long-term impacts of exposure to these chemicals, especially for populations that are living under frequently seeded areas. So you guys that are living in California, for example, you'd probably be one of the first states in the US that would probably be sprayed with that stuff. Like I said, one experiment in Alameda seems to have been carried out already. If I have a viewer that lives there, let me know. Was there any notifications? Do you know about this? How do you feel about this? Were there any warnings? Did they tell you to leave your doors closed, windows closed, stay inside, whatever? Let me know, guys. This is very interesting. Of course, it will have an ecological impact most likely. And of course, also the scientists are saying that there is a need for more research on the potential ecological impacts of cloud seeding, particularly concerning how these substances affect like non-targeted areas, including impacts on water quality and terrestrial ecosystems. Of course, there's, and even beyond the specific of the aerosols themselves, cloud engineering itself raises already broader like ethical, political, and regulatory concerns. Like questions about the governance of such technologies, who oversees it, who decides it, the potential for unintended climatic consequences, right? Regional weather changes that might affect agriculture or water resources, and international disputes over weather modification. Of course, right? So while cloud engineering might offer potential pathways to address climate change if it needs to be addressed. That's the question as well. And like water resource management, like weather modification, it is accompanied by significant scientific, environmental, and regulatory challenges. So the development and deployment of these technologies definitely, guys, in my opinion, need a very careful consideration of their long-term impacts and governance structures. So I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like the video. Let's try to give this video more likes to push it out in the algorithm a little more. If you want to learn more about volcanic eruptions, there's one ongoing in Iceland right now. It's been going on for a month, threatening the town of Grindavik, leading to evacuations. It's been going on since November 10th. In a cycle, basically one event once a month, and this last event is the longest. It's been going on for a month. Check out my Italy playlist with Campi Flegrei. It's rumbling a lot recently, which is a little bit scary, I have to say. And of course, I have a lot of videos about the Titan submersible incident and what has come out since then. Check out my playlist there as well. So thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, a subscription would be absolutely great. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis. And to all of you, thank you so much. I hope you're safe. I hope you're having a great morning, day, and night wherever you are. Thank you so much for supporting my channels with your supers and with the coffees you buy me at buymeacoffee.com. I just had another one because I needed it, because I'm obviously making another video in the middle of the night, so this helps. Thank you so much, guys. I see you in the next one, which will probably be out shortly as well. So thank you. Bye bye.